Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of DC Sports for Life, the only sports talk show in this town where we will not just focus on Washington Redskins, Washington Redskins, Washington Redskins. I'm your host,
Hold
David.
on, what about the Washington Redskins?
What about them? I'm your host, David.
And I'm your host, Mike.
Okay. So with that being said, Mike, I read a stat today hearing that the Redskins have actually not had a winning 11-win season since 1992. That was the last time we won the Super Bowl. Mike, do you remember how old you were?
Well, this is my surprise face, okay?
I guess that doesn't surprise you.
And no, I don't even want to know how old I was because I probably couldn't even, do anything. I was so young, I don't remember, okay?
It is depressing. It's been depressing for quite some time, despite the win against Saturday, and I kind of hope they beat the Cowboys next Sunday. But I won't put too much stock in that. Instead, tonight I'd like to talk about the winning ways of the Washington Wizards, who are off to a red hot start. Something that a lot of people probably did not expect so far. Um,
No, nobody expected this.
Mike, the addition of Paul Pierce and the surprising play of Chris Humphries have proven to go well for the Wizards so far this season. Mike, what do you think has been the method for success this early in the season for this Washington Wizards team?
I think you just said a really good point. We did lose Trevor Ariza, sorry, and we needed to replace him. And we got Paul Pierce. Now people say, oh, he's old, he can't play anymore. No, the guy can play, the guy can shoot, the guy is a leader in the locker room, and that's what you want. I mean, he's not the defender that Trevor Ariza is by any means, and not even the 3-point shooter, not that Ariza is. But what he brings to the locker room just goes above basketball. It translates to life, and he's getting these guys to want to play together, and we're seeing that. And John Wall is taking things into his own hands because he knows he's faster than everybody else. Now he's developing the rest of his game, and it's awesome to see.
Yeah, I was going to say the maturation of John Wall has definitely been a key to success. The guy's almost averaging a double-double a game. I think he said he was third in the league, third in the league in assists. That's always a good sign, which shows that it's rare that we have a star player in this town that doesn't necessarily have to score to change the course of a game, or as you said, take over a game. If John Wall is getting north of 10 assists, that means other guys around him are scoring. And they're typically, when other guys are scoring around Wall, the Wizards are going to win some more basketball games. Mike, talk briefly about the bench play because a lot of people don't really realize how important bench play is in professional basketball, especially when you're in terms of playoff basketball. What's been good about the bench? I think personally, like I said earlier, Chris Humphries and the surprising play of Rasul Butler has been
Oh,
a spark plug off the bench for the Wizards so
and
far.
don't forget about Rasul. Now, Rasul Butler has been a pleasant surprise, especially because Martell Webster, one of our sharpshooters, one of our best 3-point shooters, has been out all season? Has it
He's
been all season?
scheduled to come back soon.
He's scheduled to come back soon, but Rasul Butler has not only filled the void, he's gone above and beyond. And you can say that with, oh gosh, a lot of everybody on our bench. Seraphin and Humphreys. I can't be mad at the guy just because he got with Kim Kardashian. I mean, I'm not going to be a hater, okay? I'm not going to be a hater. I like you. I like you now, okay? You're on our team. But yes, everybody on the bench is doing great. Andre Miller's good to have as a backup. I mean, we could just keep going on and on.
And we'd be here all night talking about the surprising bench play of the Wizards. Um, Tough loss last night, Mike. You had an opportunity to review the film of the game. What do you think the Wizards did poorly last night, and what do you think they need to do in order to pick up a much-needed win against a difficult opponent Tuesday night against the Chicago Bulls?
I think we played poorly. It was kind of a mix of lack of effort. Actually, you could just say it was lack of effort. It wasn't. They weren't playing fast basketball. It was kind of like they were going through the motions at times. weren't setting sturdy picks. I would watch and the guy would just try to bump the guy, not really set for the pick. Like you're supposed to. Just kind of trying to get in the way and show like kind of faking it. and you can't win basketball games if you do that because there's, the other team's going to get out and run on you, and yeah, and it was just lack of effort.
And definitely, I couldn't agree more. I think they got caught off by a very fast, very young Phoenix Suns team, which was 6-1 against Eastern Conference opponents going into last night. They just used their speed to hurt them on both ends of the court, offense and defense. Not necessarily a good defensive team, as you said before the game last night. They were giving up over 100 points a game. But the speed on both sides, and as we know in professional sports, speed kills. Against Chicago Tuesday night, would you say, Mike, that one, the execution needs to be better, and I think they have to win the turnover battle, definitely. And another thing I noticed when watching the game, the Wizards were taking bad shots. Not just late in the game, they were taking bad shots in the second, third,
and fourth. They're all contested. And, given that, I wanted to briefly touch on the fact that the Phoenix Suns are a hard team to prepare for. They start 3 guards who just run. They just run all day long, and we couldn't catch up with them. It's a hard team. We're not going to play another team like that. They're the only team in the league that starts 3 guards, and it's kind of caught us off guard. So hopefully we can prepare for the Bulls better than we were able to prepare for the Suns.
And I think the one thing that you and I are going to look forward to, if you're an old school basketball fan, I think that's what you're going to get, Tuesday night. The league, has kind of been calling a lot of these touchy, ticky-tack fouls.
Yeah.
Tuesday night, you're going to see a very physical game between 2 teams that like to, hit the glass, like to play tough defense. Might not be a high-scoring game if you like a lot of points, but I think that's the kind of game the Wizards are going to have to win Tuesday night. Chicago, very good defensive team, very good rebounding team. But, on the same end, there's going to be stretches of the game where the Wizards are not making shots. That's when the leadership of Paul Pierce comes in. He's been in many of these games where your shots are not going to fall in. You got to counter with hustle plays. You got to counter with good defense. And I think it's a winnable game for the Wizards.
Absolutely.
You cannot take a team like the Chicago Bulls lightly. You got to be physical with them from the tip-off to the final horn.
And remember, they have Derrick Rose now. He's back from his hiatus.
Yeah,
we don't know if he's going to play the whole game. He could get injured in the second quarter. We don't know that, but we have to prepare for him like he's still the MVP.
And, and Derrick Rose is still very talented. We saw him play USA Basketball this summer. We know the guy can still make, plays, still, make shots. Got to force a team like Chicago to take bad shots early, which is what they're going to do to the Wizards early on and all throughout the game. You got to get physical with Noah. You got to get physical with Taj Gibson. I think anytime Rose gets in the paint, I know this sounds kind of mean, but you got to go bad boys Pistons on him. Hammer him. Don't make him feel welcome in the paint.
Yeah.
And, Nene has, when he gets in the game, if he's not starting, if he gets in the game off the bench, he's got to be a bully down in the paint. Last year in the playoffs, he bullied the Defensive Player of the Year, Joakim Noah. He's got to do that again Tuesday night. Mike, very quickly, Nationals, interesting happenings, especially with a certain shortstop. Very quickly, just kind of talk about what's been going on with the Nationals and the winter meetings and Hot Stove League.
Hot Stove League, baseball time. Everybody's talking about Ian Desmond. Are we going to get rid of him? How long is he going to stay? We just made a trade for his future replacement. I don't like to look at things like that. And he's still with the team right now, guys, okay? But we can't ignore the move of signing his replacement. It's okay. I mean, we're going to keep him at least for this year, this upcoming 2015 season. It's hard, like you said, it's hard to find a guy with his talent. And he's the last remaining Montreal Expo that we've learned. So we got to hold on to him as long as we can. But if we can't help it, we'll move on, he'll move on, and we'll have nothing but good wishes for him.
Absolutely. Ian Desmond, classic guy, great member of the locker room, great for the community. But in terms of just baseball, it's hard to find a shortstop that can hit for power, a lot of speed, good defensively. I think that the Nationals need to do everything they can to hold on to Ian Desmond, but as we were talking about earlier, it's hard to argue with a guy like Mike Rizzo, who has had a good track record since coming to D.C., brought us 2 division titles. I don't think he'll make a bad decision.
No, he won't.
Rizzo we trust. Okay, lastly, Mike, Washington Capitals, big hockey game coming up.
Caps.
Coming up against the Chicago Blackhawks at Nationals Park, interestingly enough.
That's pretty cool.
Mike, I personally think the key to the Capitals' success so far, I know a lot of people don't think a 500 record is successful, but given the circumstances of a new coach and a very just atrocious season last year where we had to rely so heavily on the power play, they're getting 5-on-5 goals. Power play is still top of the league. Penalty kill definitely needs to improve because power play goals will kill you, especially in postseason hockey. Mike, if the Capitals make the playoffs, do you think they go in as a top seed, or do you think they squeak in as a bottom seed?
I think they'll squeak in. That's probably what you think too.
Yeah.
Let's just get to the playoffs, okay? We don't need to be in first place. You know, that seems to be bad luck.
Actually, yeah.
Recently, the Nationals are winning all these games. Oh, the Caps are in first place. And then you fizzle out in the playoffs. Let's be one of those people who sneak in under the radar and be a dark horse.
And, the strange thing about playoff hockey is that it is the one sport where home ice advantage does not matter.
It doesn't matter.
And where you come in as the 6th seed or 1st seed doesn't seem to matter either. In fact, usually the team that wins the President's Trophy, meaning the best record in the NHL, they typically do not win the Stanley Cup. So I just want the Capitals to get into the dance and keep on dancing. Okay, we're almost out of time, folks, so very quickly, Mike and I are going to select our DC Sports Athlete of the Week. My selection this week is going to be Eric Fehr, F16 of the Washington Capitals. Couple goals this week, including a game winner in overtime against Columbus off of a Mike Green assist. Okay, another guy that's been playing well since coming back from an injury. F16, Eric Fehr has just been a grinder. Good for offense.
And that's an awesome nickname.
F16, yeah.
I mean, it's an F16. What are you going to do?
You're certainly not going to stand in the way of that. Yeah, I agree. So hopefully Eric continues to play well. He had 2 goals in the first time the Caps were in the Winter Classic. So hopefully that's a good sign of things to come. Mike, your pick, and then we'll sign off.
I was going to say John Wall, guys, but after last night, I'm going to reevaluate, and I'll get back to you on Tuesday, hopefully after a victory over the Chicago Bulls.
Okay, well, that's all the time we have on DC Sports for Life. I'm thinking.
Life.
I'm already thinking about hockey. I'm thinking about number 21.
Coach Mike, yeah.
All right, I'm Dave.
And I'm Mike D.
Okay, we'll see you next time.